Hello everyone. In the previous videos we learned a lot of different things using editing tools, add modifiers and bunch of other more. In today's video we are going to prepare our scene for rendering by setting up the light and camera positions, and also we are going to make an environment for our scene. And without being said, let's get into this. First, I am going to add legs in a new way. Let's hide this image. We are not going to use this anymore. Let's go to the XY axis and hide this object. And let's go to the add curve, Bezier curve. Now, let's switch to edit mode. Tab to go to edit mode. Select this vertex and delete this vertex. Now let's move this vertex to the origin. And let's go to the curve, select, go to curve, set subline type to poly. Now E to extrude, X to move on the X axis, and left click to conform, and again E to extrude, Y to move on the X axis, E to extrude, E to extrude, Y to move on the X and the Y axis, and E to extrude, X to move on the X axis. Select this curve, go to curve, set subline type to Bezier. Now you will notice that you can move these joints. Now to make these joints move aligned, select this point in the middle and go to control point, set handle type to aligned, and they can move now to form a curve. Let's do this for the second one. Select control point, set handle type aligned. Now you can leave the edit mode on by pressing the tab button. Select this object, go to modifier properties, add modifier, and select screw, and we got this shape right here. You can switch from Z axis to the Y axis, so we got the leg for this object. Now you can leave the edit mode and we can show the object, and let's rotate this leg on Y in the X axis 90 degree, and let's scale it as to scale and remember to enable the snap to face, so we can set it to the face of this object. Now let's move this object to its position. Now Shift D for duplicate and X to move on the X axis. Now select, left click to select, shift left click to select the other one, Shift D for duplicate, Y to move on the Y axis. Now let's add the floor, add mesh plane, and enable, remember to enable the snap to face, G to move, Z to move on the Z axis. Now S to scale, now Shift D for duplicate, let's rotate this wall on the y-axis 90 degree to form the wall. And now G to move. Now let's add more detail to the wall. Go to add, mesh, cube, and let's change the dimension. The height will be 8. The thickness will be 2 cm. Now left click to select this object, shift left click to select the other one, transform, align object on the y-axis. Then remember to enable the snap, and let's move it on the z-axis. G to move, Z to move on the z-axis. Now S to scale and Y to scale on the y-axis. And again S to scale and Y to move on the y-axis. Now let's organize the collections in the outliner. Let's move the legs into frame, and let's move the cube and the floor and the wall into the main collection. Now let's add our camera. Go to add camera, and let's position the camera. G to move, G to move, Z to move on the Z axis. Now press 0 in the numpad to enter the camera mode. Now remember to go to view and enable lock camera to view so you can rotate and move. Now go to the object properties for the camera and make sure you enable the depth of field, and let's select focus on object, and let's make the focus to this handle right here. And select object sphere. And also you can change the focal length for the lens for this camera, like a real one. Make sure you select the camera first. And finally, let's add the light. Go to add light and select light type, and let's reposition the light location. Now let's go to the viewport shading so we can see how the light will affect our scene. Now let's increase the power. You can also change the radius. Now let's enable the contract shadows. And we got the scene, and let's reposition the camera a little bit. And that's it for today's video. If you find this video helpful, drop a like and subscribe and leave me a comment. In the next one, we are going to render our scene, but before we do that, we are going to add materials and textures to our objects. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.